And welcome to King and Company. I'm Miles King with our very special guest, Mr. Steve Bass. Welcome on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm sure that most people watching have heard of you or know who you are. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. So again, my name is Steve. I've been the youth pastor here at Trinity for 21 plus years. Came here in 2004 is when I started. Natalie and I got married and we started here a week later. So our anniversaries right on top of each other. Always helps to remember. I've been serving here a long time. Feel like God called me specifically into youth ministry. I know a lot of people use youth ministry as kind of a stepping stone to begin getting a real job. But I feel like God has uniquely gifted me and called me to this particular ministry of working with students. And so I love doing it. And it's so cool. It's so cool to be a part of helping middle school and high school students develop their faith and develop a faith that they're going to be able to hold on to once they get out into the real world as adults.
Yeah. I mean, you're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I've been helped by it a little bit.
They haven't fired me yet.
Yeah. Still going. So ministry wasn't your first calling or first choice, I guess. You worked at Disney for a little while, didn't you?
Yeah, true. So I graduated from high school and I wanted to become an animator for Disney. And so I ended up going to the University of Central Florida, right there in Orlando, right by Disney World. Had an animation program, one of the few schools in all of America at the time that had an animation school, and did well. End of my freshman year, actually was on art scholarship, if you can believe that. Had an art scholarship. Who knew that existed? The end of my freshman year, I was given an opportunity to go and be an intern and get a chance to see what happens behind the scenes and really get to, I was a true intern, like go get my coffee kind of guy. But I got to do certain things. I got to at one point, my esteemed job was to take the drawings that were being done for the movies, which at the time they were working on Mulan, and so I had this I went by with this little eraser and I would clean up all the lines around the animation, and then got to do some neat stuff. Anyway, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted that to be my whole life. So after my second year of college, when I went to college, I had some great roommates who were Christians, and I wasn't. I was not a Christian, and they were great influences on me. And as you may know, when you're not a Christian and you're around Christians, or you're not acting like how Jesus wants you to be, and then you're around Christians, it makes you feel all guilty and shameful. And you're like, oh, so instead of change my life and do what God's called me to do, I got further away. And so I moved away from those guys and I went down a pretty dark hole, and it got real ugly. Did a lot of things I'm not proud of. And it all accumulated into me getting arrested for stealing. Stole a whole bunch of money from my job and got busted, and got to go to Orange County Jail. It's a great place, and I don't recommend it. 3 stars. And so I felt at the time, I felt like I dropped out of school, and I now had lost this job that I had done at Disney, and I was in a really dark place. And I had a friend that reached out to me, and he said, "Hey man, I want you to come to the beach with us this weekend. We're going to Daytona or St. Augustine Beach, and we're going to go to this thing in Jacksonville and all. It's going to be a lot of fun." And after getting arrested, believe it or not a lot of people were inviting me to do stuff. So I went with him, and as we got there, I'm walking up to, it's in the Jaguars football stadium, and I'm noticing that people were wearing Jesus stuff. And I was like, oh no, it's one of those things. And so we get to this, and it's a men's conference in the football stadium. So they're singing, and they're speakers, and it was good. I wasn't miserable, but I was sitting there kind of going, when are we going to get done so we can go back to our hotel? And the last speaker, the last guy, shared and really presented the gospel. And now I'm at this place in my life where, man, I'm broken. I'm hurting. And this guy shares the gospel with me, and he's talking about grace, and he's talking about forgiveness, and he's talking about mercy. And I was like, I want all of that. I really want that in my life. And so it was really funny because at the end they do an altar call. And you're talking about, man, it's like 70,000 people in this room, in the stadium. And, he says, that it's going on for a little bit. And he says, look to your left, look to your right. Ask that person if you want to walk down with them. And I know that my buddy who invited me here, who I now know was for a reason, is right here, so I won't look at him. I'm like, no, because God is tugging in my heart. He's like, come on, dude. And I'm like, no. And I feel like Satan is in my ear going, you don't need this. This is for weak people. You don't go down there, you know. And so there was a little kid here who was paying not attention at all. So I was like, hey, buddy, you want to, want to go down there? And my friend puts his hand on my shoulder, and in that moment, I just exploded inside. Like 12 years of tears came out of my face, and I don't even know how I got down to the altar. I don't know if I levitated at one point.
Cartoon.
It was I was just all of a sudden I'm like, what is going on? I'm moving.
That poor kid just.
I know.
He sees
kid was like, what do you want, crazy man?
And you just start erupting in tears.
Yes.
And levitate down onto the field.
Dad, what's wrong with the man? So we get down there, and I go. There's pastors down front, and they're talking to people who are coming forward, and I am such a wreck. I'm not even speaking. Like, it's like I'm talking in hieroglyphs. Like, it didn't even make sense. And I was just like, I don't know, not this, and then if who would, and I was just like, all I could say was, if God will really accept me, I need it. I need this for my life.
Yeah.
And he said, but and he walked me through the gospel, and we prayed together. And as audibly as God can speak, it impressed into my mind, the first thought that was just burned in there was, Steve, you wasted the first 20 years of your life. Give me what's left. And I want you to go, and I want you to help teenagers to not end up where you are. And I was like, no, dude, I just got in the boat. I don't want to drive it. Like, what are you talking about? But I knew that night, and I told my buddy. I turned around and I said, and we hugged, and I said, I think God's calling me into youth ministry. And he was like, so it was crazy. Yeah. So I called my sister. She'd become a Christian years before. And I said, hey, I did this thing tonight, and I'm a Christian now, and I don't know what to do with the rest of my life. And she goes, move away from those people that you live with in Orlando, come back and live with me, and let's figure it out. And so I went home. I moved in with her, started going to church. The only time in her life she was volunteering in youth ministry, believe it or not. And I got to work. Johnny Diaz was in the youth group, and so I got to work with him and got to get my feet wet in youth ministry there. And then I'm talking to my grandma on the phone one day, who lives up here in Auburn, and I said, I know I got to go back to school, and I got to get a degree. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet or where I'm going to go. And she's like, well, if you move up here, I got a free place to stay and free food. And I was like, cool, deal. We there. So I came up here probably 8 months-ish later. My pastor came to me and he was like, time for you to go. And I'm like, what? You found out? He's like, no. He's like, there is a church in Opelika. They literally only have like 4 or 5 kids in their youth group. And they would like you to be their youth pastor and work with these boys. And so 1998, February 1998 is when I got started. It's been 28 years this month that I got my first opportunity. Was hired to work with 3 boys, 3 terrible. No, I'm just kidding. Worked with 3 kids, and God blessed me there as I spent time going through college. And then when it was time, we were gonna get married. I was looking for a full-time youth pastor job. I interviewed in Nashville. I interviewed in Florida. And then someone called me, a man named Craig Horn, Reagan Horn's daddy, called and said, everyone keeps giving me your name. We're looking for a youth pastor. Would you be interested in Trinity? And I was like, maybe. And so anyway, actually at first I was like, no, because I loved my church and I want to leave it. But God opened up that door and brought me here. And it's been awesome ever since.
Yeah. So I mean, that's amazing. And as you said, you've been here for a minute. So, like, has there been any, like, one standout, either, like, really funny moment with youth kids or, like, just one really awesome moment that you've had or anything?
Oh yeah, there's so many. Like so, in fact, I just came from a part. I'm doing a wedding for one of my old youth kids in a couple months, and we were just at their house for a shower thing, and we were sitting around recanting old stories and having a good time. There's so many funny stories. A lot of them go back to our old ski trips, which thank God we don't do anymore. Because when you take a bunch of kids from Alabama snow skiing, lots of great things happen. But as far as like some of the most amazing things that have happened in my life, 2023, we were going to Mexico, and what we normally do is we load up a pod here, and we have tents that we sleep in, our cots, all of our clothes, all of our tools, every single thing we need to do the mission trip gets loaded in a pod and sent across country a couple weeks early. Goes to San Diego. We get out there, we unload it, we go to Mexico. Anyway, so we get there. I take Gus Bell, Ben Bell, and Chaz Brewer with me. We go out 2 days early to unload the vans, and we get there and no pot. I walk around the whole place, and I'm like, I'm looking for our number. No pod to be found. And I was like, not good. And like my heart just starts going, boo, starts sinking. And I go inside, and they're like, hey, what are you, I'm looking for? And I'm like, here's my number that's supposed to be on my pod. And they're like, yeah, we can't find it. We can't find it. In 2023, when we can track anything, we couldn't find a truck worth millions of dollars. So I start freaking out. So I was like, we've raised all this money to go and do this mission trip. There's a family of 11 people that don't have a home currently.
Wow.
That is counting on us, and we can't do this. And I lost my cool in so many different ways. And thankfully, I have a team of people here who rushed in. They have deep faith, and they said, Steve, God's got this. God's got this. Now, I prayed that God would miraculously make this container appear. Because wouldn't that be a cool story? It wasn't there yesterday, but la, la, la.
Boom, it's here now.
It's not what God wanted to do. Not what God wanted to do. I'll tell you why. But so Reagan, Jody, the rest of the team, we get together, and when we realized that the pod was not going to show up, there was a moment where we're like, we know now we're not going to get a pod. It was like, okay, plan B. What are we going to do? And so these two incredible ladies, two of my very best friends in the whole wide world, they start going, we're like, we got this. Here's the plan. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Jody found a hotel in Mexico that could sleep all of us. And then I just started watching. God was like, I got this. And all the things were falling together. And we got there. We did it. God orchestrated every step of that. And the reason why I think God didn't answer my prayer the way I wanted to be answered, he answered it, is because every kid and adult that went on that trip came home and said, I saw God do the impossible.
Yeah.
I saw God provide when it didn't make any sense. When we lost everything that we needed, God provided everything, and we built that house. And even, let me tell you, it's a little bit longer part of it, but way back in the planning stages, God knew this was going to happen. An old friend of mine, Chris Poe, who went on this trip many times back in the day, he said, I'd really like to go, but I can't go this year, but I want to make a donation. So he paid for the slab of the house to be pre-poured. Had he not done that 3 months before we ever found out our pod was going to get lost, we wouldn't have finished the house. But the fact that he prepaid for that slab, and when we arrived in Mexico a day late, we were able still to finish the house because of God's provision, even long before we knew God was providing. Crazy. It's just crazy. And I just love, because I was like, guys, when we go home, I felt like war heroes. We walked into the church that Sunday morning, and everyone was like, yeah, you guys. And it was so cool. And I was like, there's nothing I can claim, because I wanted to run home and cry and pull the covers over my head, because I felt like I had failed us, and God delivered just in a mighty way. It was so cool.
Yeah, that's so cool. Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, God can show up in all sorts of crazy ways, and sometimes, how the prayers that you pray will get answered, but not in the ways that you want them to be answered. And that's a great testament to that, of how, God works in all the ways instead of just one.
Yep,
Can't put God
absolutely.
in a box.
Yep.
So obviously there's, Mexico 2023, but besides that, has there been a point in either your career or just in your personal life that you felt like closest to God, that like you really felt like that his hand was on your shoulder or something like that?
For sure. So we welcomed in our second child in 2013, October 2013, and
James.
James B. The world's never been the same. February of the next year, I'm at a pastor's conference type thing up in Atlanta, and I get a call and they say, "You gotta come home. Something's wrong with Natalie." I said, "Okay." So I hop in the car, come home, and my wife she's not even talking. Like, she's just out of it. And I was like, "What in the world is going on?" And she got, long story short, on this side, we know she was hit with a heavy dose of postpartum depression, which was a perfect storm of a whole bunch of junk that was going on in our lives. Her business was crazy busy. She was having to take all this time off. She wanted to be home with him. She couldn't really be. Our schedule was a mess. There was so many things, and it just all hit at once, and it just broke her brain. And I'm sitting here now. Got a 5-year-old son, and I've got a 2-month-old son, 4-month-old son, whatever at the time. I've got a wife who is like curled up in a ball and can't do anything. And I'm like, how in the world am I going to live? Like, my life just got wiped out and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I start doing what most men do, is try to solve the problem. Do I get a different job? Do I get a second job? Do we have to hire this dude? I don't know. I'm trying to solve the problem and it's not working. And so we start making some real decisions about life. Like, okay, we don't need to pay for cable. So I don't even know if y'all know what cable TV is, but anyway, we don't need to pay for somebody to fertilize our grass. We don't, what are some things that we can do that we get rid of so we can free up some time? And one of the things that came across my brain and out of my mouth before I could stop it was, maybe we don't tithe. Couple months we don't tithe, and then we'll get back on our feet and we'll start tithing again. Maybe we can catch up. I don't know. As it came out of my mouth, God was like, really? So in the moment where you need your faith the most, you're just gonna not trust in me anymore? You don't think I can provide for you? And I was like, oh man. And I gotta tell you, we did, for every penny we made, we tithed 10%. When it didn't make any sense, we didn't have money to do whatever, we just kept tithing, and we never missed a payment.
Yeah.
We paid all of our bills. Our kids stayed alive. They ate food. We didn't have to eat cardboard or the furniture or anything like that.
Carson's still here.
Yeah, all the cats are still alive in our neighborhood. So God just was like, I got you, dude. He's like, why wouldn't you trust me? And that's why I love to tell people, when tithing, for some reason, some people they're like weird. Adults are weird about tithing, and they don't like to talk about it in church. And I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the greatest blessings in our life is to trust in God and let Him, just watch Him work. It's the only time in the Bible that God says test Him.
Yeah.
All the other time in the Scripture, don't test God, don't test God, don't test God. And this one time, God says, tithe and don't see if I won't open up the floodgates of heaven and pour out blessings on you.
Yeah.
And He did, and we're here. And from that moment on, my wife's business just began to grow to places we'd never imagined we would be these days. But it all came back to that point. I think sometimes when we're in our darkest moments is when we're the closest to God.
For sure.
I mean, when Sharon Fuller died, when Matthew Aubrey died, there was two of the times in my life, two of the darkest moments I've ever experienced on this earth. And it's two of the times where I just felt God's presence the most because of where we were and Him coming close to us. So yeah, there's definitely, I would say Trinity has been, Trinity's been so much for us.
Yeah.
This church knows how to love as good, if not better, than any church in the world. And in your darkest moments and in your greatest moments, we'll be right beside you. And I'm not only as a pastor, but I've received that as a member of this church.
Yeah. I can attest to that. I agree to that. So to kind of get closer to closing us out, if you were to like kind of have a microphone and have a stage to tell everybody in the world one thing, like everybody would listen, everybody would remember it, what would you tell them?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it to put it into words. I mean, honestly, Jesus is the Son of God. I mean, I in whatever way that I can express that. Man, we get so caught up in the stuff of this world. We get caught up in the rat race. We get caught up in material things. We get caught up in just whatever. It just starts. We get caught up in worldly stuff, and we think we start living for things. And if we could just see that God is real, and we
Yeah.
could just know and believe. John chapter 20, John said, I wrote all this stuff down in this book so that you would believe.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I want you to believe like I believe, because if you believe like I believe, he says, you're going to find new life. You're going to
Right.
find a life that you didn't know existed. And I just think there's so many people, not just non-Christians. I think there's people who claim to be Christians that haven't found that life because they haven't put their full trust and belief and faith in God. And you just believe. I mean, I told this story this morning in church. I just said, if you don't have stories of faith, you can borrow some of mine, because I got so many to tell you
Yeah.
about how, just like I just said, how, in 2014, God just proved, hey, I'm here. When we get to Mexico, 2023, God proven, I got you.
Yeah.
Every one of those stories is a brick in this wall of faith. And I just want to tell people, like, it's real. All the other junk that we're living for, it can be taken away. Our family could be taken away. Our job can be taken away. Our bank account, all of those, our health, all those things they're temporary.
Yeah.
And so don't live for the temporary, live for the eternal. Francis Chan, who's my favorite I'm not a big celebrity pastor person,
Yeah.
but Francis Chan's a pretty legit guy. And he says, if you think about our life, like, if we were able to take a piece of string and draw out the timeline of the world, the infinite, it just went forever. Like, our life on that timeline is like, bloop, it's just a blip,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we live for that blip. And meanwhile, it's like, I have eternity to live for, but we want to live just for the blip. We want to get as much as we can. And if you don't believe in God, that's all. There's no other way to live. You live for the blip. That's all you got. But
Yeah.
we know better. And so I just want to encourage people, you got to put your full weight in trust and belief in Christ, because it is amazing the new life that you will find. Life that you didn't know existed or was possible.
Yeah. You heard him. God is good. God is real. Everybody, for as far as I know, survived the 2026 winter retreat flu outbreak.
Yeah.
And we're not, we made it. Might not have been pleasant, but we made it.
I think so. There are one or two kids that haven't been accounted for yet.
Not sure if they're
obviously they weren't that important because their parents haven't come looking for them. They're in my basement.
Good to know. Good to know. So to close us out, is there any question that you wanted to ask me?
Questions for you?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
All right. First, because this is important to me.
Mhm.
Anytime we have students who come and visit, we want to see them back. We want them to come back. We always want our visitors to come back. And so when someone visits and they come back, and then they keep coming back, and then they become, like you have, a part of our daily life, I want to know the secret sauce so that I can then emphasize that with our other visitors. So what is it about Trinity that brought you in, but more importantly, what is it that kept you here, that wanted you to come back?
Good question. So what brought me in was Anderson Melnick invited me to a Wednesday night 3-4 years ago.
Fairly decent kid.
He's all right. Something like that. And I was like really hesitant at the beginning. Like, he invited me one week and I was like, no, I'm busy. I wasn't busy. I was just a very, very nervous, introverted child. And when he was like, yeah, we've got lots of people and we've got games, and I was like, no,
And you're like, I'm homeschooled.
I'm homeschooled. I don't talk to people. I don't like that. And so after like 2 weeks of him telling me that I needed to come, and my mom also being like, you should go try it out. I heard it's a pretty cool place. I was like, okay. And so I came, and I was like blown away. I was like, whoa, Steve is loud. No,
I am loud.
I was like, wow, this place is awesome, because like the worship was amazing, and I heard you speak for the first time, and I was like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. And I was also like welcomed by all of the other teenagers and kids there, like with open arms. Like, I mean, I've made the friends here that I'll have for the rest of my life in like that first year that I was here. And so, I mean, I guess what kept me here was the community of the people, because I mean, I was only in youth stuff before I went to anything outside of youth. Like, I went to my first Sunday morning like last year here. Like, yeah. So like it really has been all what you've curated, what you've created in the youth group. And so like the community of the people that are here, and that they're all pretty decent human beings that I can be with you know most hours of the day. And then also like your teaching, where like I can just tell very blatantly that the Holy Spirit is speaking through you whenever you're up on stage, and like I can tell that. And the worship on Wednesday nights is great, and just the fun, the trips, winter retreat, student life last year has been the most impactful anything of my
It was
whole life
amazing. Great
ever.
week. Great week.
So, like, yeah, I mean, really, community, worship, that's really what kept me here, and I have no plans of leaving.
Hey, we like that. Well, here, especially the welcoming. I think that's something I've always tried to push, and it's not always our. Some years our students don't buy in as much. I'll see, one group of kids who they come once or twice and no one talks to them, and I'm like, because they know I'm going to talk to them,
Right.
and I'm going to go over and say, hey. But if the other students don't welcome them in, they're not going to come back. They expect me to, but they want to see. And so we really want that. We want that to be a place when students come into the place here. We want them to feel welcome, loved, needed. They want, I want to be there, because that's my people and that's my place. And so I'm really excited to hear that. And I've wanted to tell you guys this is that you guys obviously mean a lot to me, because you guys are Carson's best friends. Carson, he wanted this. He probably get mad at me for saying this, but I know in middle school he had a hard time. He didn't have best friends because growing up in church, he didn't really have best friends here. We didn't have best friends in our neighborhood. Everybody in our neighborhood was either James's age or a good bit older. And so he just didn't have a group to be a part of. And he always had buddies. He's a good kid, but he just never had that group. And it started around 8th grade, and where I noticed, and I'm so happy that he has you guys who love Jesus, love each other, and care for each other. It just means the world to me to have you guys in his life. So it made a big.
He's all right.
Big. I mean, whatever. Whatever.
He's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this group, this community has, I mean, totally changed the trajectory of my life for sure. Like our group, and I mean just the youth group in general, like it really does feel more like a family, like a community, than it does like a bunch of kids are in one spot for 1, maybe 2 days a week, and then they don't talk to each other.
Well, that's what you want when you read the book of Acts and you read the first church that happens after Jesus ascends into heaven, and the disciples are like, okay, what do we do now? All right. And that's what it was. And that's why I gravitate towards our size church, our size youth group, because everyone knows each other. I mean, you read that, like I said, book of Acts, what were they doing? They were eating together every day. They were meeting together. They were talking about Jesus every day. They were doing all these things, and I'm like, that's what we want to do. We want to create community where
Yeah.
we're like a family, eating together, worshiping together, and serving together. And that's what I want for our ministry.
I think you definitely get the job done most
That
of the time.
and a water slide. We get a third floor water slide.
Add it on.
Yep. I'm gonna probably have to die some horrific death to get that named after me. Like, fine, let's build the water slide Steve wants. So
The Steve Bass Memorial.
the
Water
Steve
Slide.
Bass Memorial Water Slide. Yep.
We'll make it happen
Cool.
when some years in the future when Carson's off working at NASA,
Yeah.
he'll engineer us a nice water slide for you.
Yep.
We'll stick it in on the side of the youth building and throw the sixth graders down the water slide first. Wednesday night.
Baptisms.
Yes, baptisms.
That's how we get it paid for. This is how we're baptizing people now. We'll be on the news. I baptize you in the name of the Father and the Holy Ghost.
It's
You were
perfect.
saved.
You were saved. Yeah, it's perfect. But I mean, yeah, that's really what kept me here. Is
Well, I love hearing that.
yeah, for sure. It's a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun here. Definitely a lot of memories that won't be forgotten for a while.
Good times. Good times.
Good times indeed. A lot of fun times. So, unless you have any ending remarks, I think we're good.
I have no remarks.
Alrighty. Well then, I'm Miles King with our incredible youth minister Steve Bass. Thank you for watching, and we will see y'all next time.